Rain lashed against the windows of Beijing's Central Medical Center that night. The kind of cold November rain that seemed to soak through walls and bone. The clock above the nurse's station flickered 11:54 p.m. when the ambulance screeched in. Siren fading into hollow echo down the sterile corridor. The sliding doors burst open. And under the harsh white light, a stretcher rolled in carrying actor Menglong, his face pale, lips trembling. One hand twitching as if still trying to hold on. Medics shouted vitals. Pulse 58. Dropping. He's conscious, barely, a nurse swore softly. In the blur of fluorescent light and panic, the celebrity who had once charmed millions was being rushed into ER room 9. The hospital smelled of disinfectant and fear. Monitors beeped in uneven rhythm, each one marking the fragile line between life and whatever waited beyond. Nurse Chen Zhu remembered later that the first strange thing wasn't the blood pressure or the sudden cardiac spike, it was Dr. Liang's voice, calm, detached. "Everyone out," he ordered. Snapping on fresh gloves. "I'll handle the resuscitation alone." It was a violation of protocol. In emergency care, isolation during active resuscitation never happens. Yet that night, 3 staff members obeyed. Hesitated at the door, she saw him lock it from inside. The security feed from the corridor showed Dr. Liang entering room 9 at 11:58 p.m. then static. 3 minutes of lost footage, erased, corrupted. Or something worse. When the screen flickered back to life at 12:01 a.m., Menglong's monitor had flatlined. Hospital reports claimed a sudden cardiac failure. The official statement read like a template, despite every effort. The patient could not be revived. Internal log leaked to the press weeks later revealed something else, 2 injections administered at 11:59 p.m. Only one recorded in the official file. Second syringe, logged under procedure ID X22, contained no medication name. Inside the hospital whispered. There were 2 injections, one was adrenaline, one wasn't. The story had begun to spread. A beloved actor gone too soon. Accidental death. Alcohol-related fall. Family requests privacy, the usual lines. Heated until they sounded like prayers. But the silence beneath them felt unnatural. An anonymous email reached the Herald Post. "He didn't die naturally. Please find the truth." Attached was a grainy image of Menglong's wrist, a puncture mark that didn't match the IV line placement. Outside the hospital gates, reporters gathered in the drizzle. A woman in a black shawl pushed through the crowd. "Yu's mother." Her face was gray. Her voice shaking. "He said he'd call me after filming. I was waiting for that call." Security guided her inside to sign the release papers. She emerged 15 minutes later, barely able to stand. By then, the order for cremation had already been processed. Less than 8 hours after death, the body was gone. Inside the hospital, whispers spread like infection. One nurse claimed the morgue refrigerator malfunctioned that morning. Another said someone from the Provincial Health Bureau called Dr. Liang directly before sunrise. Wanted the paperwork done immediately. She told a colleague before vanishing from duty the next day. The story might have ended there, a brief scandal drowned in official statements, but Chen Zhu couldn't sleep. She replayed the night in her head, the locked door, the muted voices, the sudden silence. 4th night after the incident, she logged into the internal surveillance archive. Room 9's feed was labeled corrupted. Yet in a temporary cache folder, she found a single surviving frame. Time-stamped 12 hours, 0 minutes, and 37 seconds a.m. It showed Dr. and bending over Menglong, and another gloved hand, larger, darker, reaching from outside the frame, holding the second syringe. The next day, Chen Zhu sent an untraceable email to a freelance journalist known for chasing suppressed stories. She attached the image in one line: "He was still breathing." 3 days later, the journalist, this reporter, stood in that same hallway. The air still smelled faintly of antiseptic and damp paint. 9 was sealed for maintenance. The door handle had been replaced. The number repainted. I asked the head nurse about Dr. Liang. "Transferred," she said flatly. "Routine reassignment," when pressed. Glanced at the security camera and whispered, "Please leave. You shouldn't be here." Outside, the sky was the color of iron. Monitor sweeping the entrance leaned close. "You want to know the truth," he murmured. "Check the waste logs. They burn more than sheets that night. At the local dump site. A contact helped locate the incineration record for the hospital's biomedical waste. Marked confidential, batch 72. Timestamp: 2:14 a.m. Barely 2 hours after the time of death. Protocol dictates a 24-hour hold for medical waste pending verification. One had skipped every safeguard. The batch included organic residue, 4.3 kilograms, listed as contaminated fluid bags. When confronted, the hospital's public affairs office responded with an email: unauthorized access to private patient data will result in legal action. No mention of the destroyed materials. Meanwhile, social media began to pulse with rumor. Murder in there trended briefly before disappearing from local platforms. Accounts sharing autopsy photos were suspended. Still, screenshots escaped, circulating through encrypted forums. Pattern of bruising on Menglong's forearm suggested restraint, not collapse. The bruises formed a semicircle, a grip. By week's end, a thin envelope arrived at the Herald Post Office. No return address. Inside, a single USB drive. File inside was labeled R9 Real MOV. The video began with a fixed camera view from above the ER bed. Menglong lay pale, oxygen mask fogging with shallow breaths. A figure in surgical gown leaned into frame, not Dr. Liang. The build was heavier. The gait deliberate. He held the syringe upright, tapped it twice. Inserted it into Yu's IV line. The actor's body convulsed once, then stilled. The figure looked toward the camera, and switched it off. I played it 3 times. Each viewing left the same chill, the sound of the heart monitor fading into a long, flat tone. The faint echo of rain against the window. And a whisper, a single word, barely audible. Some say it was enough. Others here forgive. Authorities have since denied the authenticity of the clip. They called it digitally altered and emotionally manipulative. Yet the metadata embedded in the file, time, date, device ID, matches the hospital's internal system. Somewhere between those lines of code and the silenced witnesses, a pattern emerges. Orders came from above. Cameras went dark, records vanished. In the heart of Beijing, amid the hum of life support machines, a man's final minutes were rewritten. Tonight, as I replay the footage again, the rain outside feels heavier. The city itself is trying to wash something away. Clock ticks past midnight. The same hour his monitor went flat. In the reflection of my screen, for a fleeting second, I swear I see him, pale, motionless, eyes open, and behind him, in a white coat. The nation wants answers. But for now, only sound left from room 9 is the echo of that final, unbroken tone, the silence after a life was taken, not lost. The footage leaked from room 9 spread like wildfire, or like a ghost whispering through the circuits of the internet. Within 12 hours, had been mirrored, subtitled, and dissected frame by anonymous users across every forum that hadn't yet been censored. Some called it fake, a hoax crafted to profit off tragedy. Others, watching the slow collapse of Menglong's chest and the second syringe glinting in that sterile light, swore they could feel his fear. By dawn, hashtags demanding justice flooded foreign servers, while Beijing's intranet was eerily quiet. Officially, there was no investigation. Unofficially, hospital employee involved had been reassigned, silenced, or simply vanished. I watched the video again that morning. This time slowed to half speed. The audio crackled. Beneath the hum of machines was another sound, a metallic click, like a door unlocking. Forensic experts I contacted confirmed the authenticity of the file's metadata, captured on September 11 at 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 41 seconds, room 9. The camera model matched the hospital's inventory. It had not been tampered with. What it showed could not be unseen. That afternoon, the Ministry of Health released a single paragraph: the circulating video is fabricated. Citizens urged not to spread false information that harms social harmony. Harms social harmony carried weight. It meant censorship orders were active. Yet that same day, a second leak surfaced. A hospital audit document showing a missing vial from the restricted storage cabinet. The drug's name, succinylcholine chloride. Paralytic that stops breathing in seconds and vanishes from blood within a day. Succinylcholine, a drug used for anesthesia and execution. I began tracing Dr. Liang's history. The personnel file was bare, but a former classmate reached out through an encrypted channel. He wasn't always like this, the man wrote. He worked private for a company called Hengda Entertainment before returning to the hospital. Hengda, the same conglomerate Menglong had been suing for withholding royalties and image rights. Court filings confirmed it. The case was scheduled for hearing in early October, just 3 weeks after Yu's death. Where I went, the more doors closed. Phone numbers disconnected. Servers timed out. One night, an anonymous courier dropped a brown envelope at my hotel front desk. Inside was a photocopy of a message transcript. Ensure complete silence post ER. File must disappear before noon. Sender ID corresponded to Hengda internal network. Meanwhile, Chen Zhu, the nurse who'd sent the first image, was gone. Her apartment was found unlocked, belongings intact. Powered off on the table. Neighbors remembered 2 men in medical coats visiting the night before she disappeared. Hospital denied she ever existed. I replayed her voice note again and again. They said if I speak, I'll end up like him. The official narrative shifted. News anchors began hinting that you had struggled with personal issues. Those of him drinking surfaced, most clearly staged. One outlet even claimed his mother forgave the hospital, a quote she later denied. Behind the curtain of order, it was spreading. Someone was erasing the witnesses one by one. Then came the second autopsy. Yu's family, refusing to believe the cardiac arrest story, secretly exhumed his remains and flown them to Seoul. The report, leaked weeks later, confirmed traces of succinylcholine embedded deep in cardiac tissue, a near impossible find unless death had occurred within hours of injection. The Korean pathologist's voice shook as he spoke. That drug doesn't linger. Whoever ordered the cremation knew the timeline. In Beijing, a senior medical examiner resigned suddenly. In psychological distress. He'd been the one who signed off on Yu's first autopsy. Asked by foreign press if he stood by the result, he said only one line before being cut off mid-broadcast, "I was told what to write." The threads converged on Dr. Liang. He was missing. Officially on extended leave. But a customs leak revealed he had left China 2 days after the video surfaced. Bound for Vancouver under a different name. Weeks passed. Then, out of nowhere, an encrypted email appeared in my inbox. The subject, "I need to speak before they find me." The sender claimed to be Dr. Liang's surgical assistant. In a cheap motel outside Toronto. His hands trembled as he lit a cigarette. "It wasn't supposed to happen," he said. They told Liang to keep him sedated until transfer authorization. But when the call came, the voice said, "Finish it." Looked at me, eyes hollow. He was alive. We both knew it. The man slid a second USB drive across the table. On it, audio recordings from that night, muffled commands. The mechanical click of a syringe cap. His faint voice pleading, "Please, wait." It's hidden for weeks. Haunted by the memory. Liang injected him. He wasn't the one who gave the order. Who did? The assistant didn't know. Only that the voice belonged to someone from above. The more evidence surfaced, the more the narrative fractured. International outlets demanded accountability. Justice for You trended again, drawing millions of posts before the blackout returned. In Beijing, floral tributes appeared outside the hospital gates, until authorities cleared them overnight. But the internet never forgets. Screenshots, documents, whispers, they all lingered, glowing like embers. Then, in early November, a new video appeared. Dr. Liang himself, recorded somewhere in a cold, bare apartment. His face gaunt, eyes ringed with sleeplessness. "I was told he wouldn't survive," he said. "They said it was mercy. But he was breathing when I left the room." Voice cracked. "I tried to save him after the first injection. But they were watching. I had no choice." The feed cut abruptly, replaced by static. Hours later, authorities confirmed Liang had taken his own life. Autopsy was performed. Now, months later, the nation remains divided, between those who still believe it was an accident and those who see the dark outline of something organized, controlled, inhuman. The government insists the case is closed. Yet the families of the staff who vanished after that night still light candles each year at the hospital fence. Room 9 has been repainted, renumbered, sealed from public access. But sometimes, when the night shift grows quiet, nurses whisper that they hear faint beeping from behind the wall, a heartbeat monitor that no longer exists. The cleaner swears he saw a figure in a white coat standing in the corridor at 12:01 a.m., motionless, staring toward the old ER ward. I still keep the 2 USB drives locked in a safe. Data verified. Their contents unseen by the world. Every few nights, the rain begins to fall the way it did that night. I think of the sound on the recording, the flat line fading into silence, and the whisper that followed, "Forgive." Is it the plea of a dying man? Or the confession of his killer? Perhaps both. And until someone dares to open room 9 again, that question will echo through the halls of Beijing's Central Medical Center, a heartbeat trapped in metal and memory, waiting to be heard.